Hello, I'm Sam Praviti, your Township Supervisor. I'd like to welcome everyone to Patriot Day on September 11th, on the 23rd anniversary of September 11th. To begin the program, if we could all do a moment of silence. It's 8:46 on the moment the first plane hit the North Tower. Thank you, everyone. If you'd welcome, I'd like to welcome our Fire Chief, Tyrell, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to do it.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Before I begin, I'd like to call our treasurer, Mike Nicely, would like to say a few words on what you thought.
Thank you, everybody. Can you hear me okay back there? No? So? You want to step closer then? Okay. On this day of remembrance, we honor the lives of the events of September 11th, 2001. Through the years of past, the memories of loss, courage, and unity remain in our hearts every day. We remember the innocent lives taken too soon, the bravery of our first responders, so please thank them when you're up here, for the police officers and those who are retired, and the resilience of families and communities who have borne the weight of this grief. As we reflect on the pain of this day, we turn to the promised hope found in Revelation 21. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. This reminds us that our pain is not the final chapter. It's the face of unmanageable loss. We are assured by God's plan is restoration, peace, and healing. Though we grieve, we look forward to the day when suffering will be no more, when God Himself will wipe away every tear that has come our way. The heartache that we may feel today will one day give way to an eternal joy, and God's perfect love and peace will replace the brokenness of this world. His promise, we hope to find for a future knowing that God's love will heal all wounds, and His light will overcome the darkness. Though we carry the scars of the past, we trust in the day when old order things will pass away, and God will make things new. Today we are praying for those who continue to bear the scars of that day, for the souls of those who are lost, and for the strength to keep building a world where love triumphs. We are reminded in Psalm 1, chapter 147, He heals the brokenhearted and binds their wounds. These words we find comfort, knowing that in God's presence, all sorrow will fade and peace will prevail. Their legacy and sacrifice will endure forever and never be forgotten.
I'd like to now ask for the lowering of our flag to half-mast for 9/11. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Honored guests, veterans, first responders, and fellow citizens. Today we gather in solemn reflection to honor the memory of the nearly 3,000 innocent lives that were lost on September 11, 2001. It has been 23 years since that fateful day, but the grief, the memories, and the lessons remained etched in our hearts and minds. We stand united to remember the victims, pay tribute to the brave first responders, and reflect on how that tragic day changed the course of our nation's history. September 11 is not just a date on the calendar, it's a day that changed the very fabric of our society. It is a day that reminds us of our strength and resilience of the American spirit. In the face of unspeakable horror, we witnessed the extraordinary courage of firefighters, police officers, paramedics, and ordinary citizens who risked and in many cases gave their lives to save others. We remember the passengers of Flight 93 who, understanding the threat that faced our nation, bravely took action, saving countless lives while sacrificing their own. Their courage, like the courage of every other first responder that rushed into those burning towers, speaks to the very essence of who we are as a nation. In moments of crisis, we come together. In moments of pain, we rise. But as we remember the loss and the sacrifice, let us also remember that we gained. That terrible day revealed the best in us as Americans. It has united us in a way few events have, reminding us that our strength comes from not only our military might or economic power, but from our shared values and the bonds that tie us together as a people. It showed us the world that hate will never have the last word. Instead, love, courage, and unity will always prevail. We honor today not just the memories of those that were lost, but the legacy they left behind. Their stories live on in the families, the survivors, and in each of us. The resilience they showed us in the life is what continues to inspire us. And as we look back, let us look forward to a future where we continue to work for peace, understanding, and unity. In the aftermath of the attacks, President George W. Bush said, "We will not tire, we will not falter, and we will not fail." That promise still rings true today, not only in our fight against terrorism, but in our commitment to one another. Every day we are called to remember that our diversity is our strength and our unity is our power. So as we stand here today, let us rededicate ourselves to this ideal of service, unity, and sacrifice. Let us honor the memories of the fallen, not just in words, but in actions. Let us be vigilant in safeguarding the freedoms that make this nation great, and let us always remember that we are stronger together. To the families of the fallen, we offer our deepest sympathies. Your loss is one we can never fully understand, but please know that their legacy of your loved ones will always live on in all of us. We carry them with us always. And to the first responders, our military, and those who work to keep our nation safe, we offer our endless gratitude. Your service and sacrifice remind us of the courage and commitment it takes to protect this great nation. May we never forget the lessons of 9/11, and may we always stand united, and may God bless the United States of America. So I'd like to think we got representatives here from Governor Gretchen's office, Whitmer, representative from Lisa McLean's office, and we also, I'd like to introduce our County Executive, Mark Yackov. I'd like to say a couple words. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
You gotta speak up.
You bet. Yeah, I have no problem with that. I used to work in the cell blocks. So, with that being said, today is a day of remembrance, and to those of you who have served in the military, we want to thank you for your service, and those that are currently serving. But today's a special day for those that worked in public safety, police, fire, EMS, and even those that were working within the healthcare industry during that tragic day. And we talk about today as being a day of remembrance. And that is something that really, I think, each and every one of us, as we sit here and hear these words that were spoken, that somber moment, every one of you who was around at that time remembers exactly where you were. You were affixed to the television set. You couldn't get enough of what was happening because you were just enamored by this tragedy that was happening on our own home soil here. For one of the first times ever, something like that happening. And seeing what was being played out by the first responders and the horrific nature visually of what was taking place. That is something we'll never forget. The 2,977 lives that were lost were brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, co-workers, friends, law enforcement, firefighters, public safety, all walks of life. Those are people that need to be remembered. But there are many people that were injured as a result of that tragic day too. And let's not forget them. But many of us have been scarred for quite some time as a result of what we had seen, and we will always remember that. But remember too what happened to this country after that. There have been many changes that have taken place. You need just only get an airline ticket to travel someplace. The security measures that have been taking place, because now we are more in tune to the vulnerability of this country, even on our home turf. But what is most important is remembering how people came together at that time. We put aside our differences. People were so friendly at that time. I was 9 months into my first term as sheriff, and I'm going to tell you, as it happened, it was tragic. Law enforcement, firefighters were all communicating with one another, trying to figure out what took place. But I'm going to tell you, what we realized was there were very few incidents happening within our communities. It was one of the times, for probably the week after that incident, we had very little crime reports. Nothing was happening. People were kind to one another. In fact, if you were trying to get into traffic, people were letting 2 or 3 cars in at a time, holding doors for one another. It was amazing how kind everyone was to one another. We put aside every one of our differences at that time. You sometimes turn on the news and we only need to look at what happened in the debate yesterday. Where have we gone? What has happened? We are strong when we are united. If we set aside our differences and we prove that on that one day, let us not forget, let us continue to remember. And I want to leave you with one thing. 911 was a tragic day, but there's also another representation of 911. And it's the communications that people get to public safety. And we here in Macomb County had the fortunate opportunity where every one of our firefighters and our policing agencies came together, and we realized one of the most challenging problems that happened at the towers was the communications ability for the firefighters that walked into that building and law enforcement to communicate with one another. Here in Macomb County, we established shortly thereafter a communication system that is far better than anyone else in the entire state of Michigan. But we're challenged right now, and you're going to see it on the ballot, so I will take the opportunity to do that on behalf of the dispatchers that afford the opportunity to keep our public safety safe. There is going to be a ballot measure on there that continues funding for 911. And I'm going to tell you that is the most important asset we have of making sure these officers and these firefighters are safe out in the community. That will be on the ballot. It's a continuation. Let us not defund public safety through 911. Let us continue to remember the importance of what these folks do to protect us on our home turf. Never forget what our military does to protect our freedoms, and always remember, we can stand united if we choose. Let us always remember. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, with that, I want to thank you all for attending. I appreciate everyone stopping by to commemorate this. With that, be kind to one another. As Mark said, I remember too, the day after everyone had their flags out, everybody was so nice to one another, and it's time to show that humanity to one another again. So thank you all. God bless you all, and God bless America. Thank you.